Welcome to another episode of Voiceover Redo. Today we're taking a look at the character of Venom, and in the movie, I don't really hate his voice. I think his voice is fine. I don't love it. I think there's definitely things I can do to make him sound a bit more, but maybe a little scary or a little more impactful. But the biggest thing I want to focus on clearing up today is clarity and properly enunciating the words. I feel like and I'm going to show you a clip here in just a little bit. I feel like there's just points in the movie, just when he's saying different things, that it's a little bit hard to hear. It's hard to fully understand what he's saying. You just kind of like, what was that? And when you're doing these type of low gravelly voices, it is important. To make sure that, because it's easy, I do a lot of low gravelly voices myself. I understand sometimes you do a line and it's like, oh, I love the way that gravel sounds, and then it's like, I don't know, the words didn't really come out though. And so let me go ahead and show you the clip in question.
You want up? Why didn't you just say?
So I chose this specific scene because I don't know, at least for me, on first hearing, it's especially that, well, why didn't you just say? It's just so muddled and mushed together. I think part of it, and this goes with all the lines. It's not. I think the specific delivery is kind of bad, but with all the lines, I think the way that they processed the voice and mixed it and put the effects on and everything, it just makes it overall kind of hard to understand. There's just certain tonal qualities that I'm not a big fan of, especially in the way, like I said, that it's mixed and everything. So I'm going to attempt today to, one, just make sure that you all can understand what I'm saying. That's the goal. Again, it's a difficult task when you're doing these type of voices. You have to be really careful. But yeah, I'm also just going to have a little fun with it. Do some maybe just alternate versions of what Venom could sound like. So here we are back in Mixcraft. I'm going to just record a few lines just of my initial kind of what I'm thinking to do for this particular voice. You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? Okie dokie, and just like in last week's video, which was on Conchu, if you haven't watched it, I highly suggest checking it out. I'd appreciate it. But just like last week's video, we are going to go ahead and pitch this down to semitones. Again, this is just kind of where it's just a comfortable spot for this type of voice that I like to do.
You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? You want up? Well, why didn't you just say?
Okay, and I very, very much like that second take a lot better. When I did that first take, which is the first time I'm doing really any voice anything today, other than talking, I guess. But yeah, I didn't really like the way that it came out. I could already tell that I didn't like it, but this one sounds fine to me. So we'll go ahead and we'll just play that back one more time.
You want up? Well, why didn't you just say?
And even though I like the tonality of this voice a lot better than the actual voice, I feel like in that, well, what do you just say? I feel like that's, I don't know. It's just hard. It's not a good line for this particular character to deliver well. There's certain ways that sometimes when I'm working on a script for myself, and if I have to say something a certain way, and it's like the dialogue on paper might be okay, which there's a lot of dialogue that I don't feel fits Venom in this movie, but again, it's kind of pushed to the side. But the voice just doesn't suit it super well. If I were to, in a normal voice say, well, why didn't you just say, you can understand me. But it is a sentence that just kind of, just the way in its structure kind of all conglomerates together, and I think is part of the issue of why it's hard to understand him. I'm going to give it another couple of takes and really try to enunciate this time. Remember to do your mouth stretches. Maybe sometimes if you're having trouble enunciating, that can be your issue.
You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? You want up? Well, why didn't you just say?
So if you see there while I'm delivering that, my mouth is just the way that you have to hold your vocal cords, I guess. It's not a way that you move your mouth in a lot, which I find myself being, yeah, everybody speaks differently, whatever. So some people move their lips and everything a lot more. I find myself that I don't move my lips a lot when I'm talking. But especially when I'm doing this voice, maybe it's different from you. Maybe I'm just weird. I don't know. But I feel like, again, this type of voice, it doesn't conduce itself well to big expressive mouth shapes, I guess. But let's go ahead and take a listen to this.
You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? You want up? Well, why didn't you just say?
I think that's pretty good. I'm going to listen to them both now back to back and really try to listen. Because that's the thing. When you're doing your own take, you know what the line is. So if it's hard to understand, you need someone else to really tell you that a lot of the times. But try your best to just make sure that you are enunciating all the syllables is the best thing without overdoing it and kind of, scuffing the line.
You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? You want up? Well, why didn't you just say?
So I think I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that one. You can even tell that I'm being louder. I'm forcing more of the enunciation, and that's causing me to. Because when you're doing a lot of these low voices, you can get away with getting real close to the microphone and speaking really low, and you can do that. Add a bunch of effects, make it sound big and booming, and it sounds really cool. However, again, if you need to push forward through it a little bit, then you will need to be a bit louder. So you can tell this one's louder, and there's a little bit at the end of it that, I don't know, I felt like it was a little shaky. Not my favorite take in the world, but it is more or less the idea, and I'm focusing on enunciation today for this particular character anyway. And I think this is a pretty good take. I feel like it's a fine take. I feel like it's more understandable than the original one. I feel like it's more understandable than the last take I just did. And we have more voices to do, so we're not going to be caught up on it on this one. Again, if I was doing this for professional work, I would spend more time on it. But for the sake of this video, it's fine. Alright, so now I'm going to go with just a different take. Just another thing that's going to come to my head, and we'll just see how it goes.
You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? You want up? Well, why didn't you just say?
I don't even know. I don't even know how this one's going to sound. Literally, I just am having a little bit of fun with it today. We'll just go ahead and again, instinctively, with most of my monster voices, I just pitch it down 2 semitones and at least leave that as a basis. That tends to be where I like it for this, darker type of stuff. But sometimes, like in my last video, I was like, actually, I'm going to go up a tone, or you'll see. Sometimes I need to go even lower if I want it to be especially like something really big and giant. You want a really heavy voice. But let's take a listen to these. I don't know how I feel about them.
You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? You want up? Well, why didn't you just say?
I don't love these takes. I feel like out of all of them, the last one's the best one. I just went with something here. I just wanted to do something that was, a bit different. Obviously, something that would still sound maybe like Venom. But I'm going to, I don't know, pitch it down. We'll play around. I'm going to play around with different semitones down and just see what happens.
You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? You want up? Well, why didn't you just say?
And there's part of, as I pitched it down 3 semitones and then 4 semitones. And I just feel like it gets harder and harder to understand. Again, if I was going to do like a giant, and I am the great giant, and I'm doing a big voice, I'd be speaking a lot clearer. It'd be like a completely different type of tone, and I feel like that would be more suitable to pitch down that low. This I don't because I was very constrictive on my throat. And yeah, I think we might just leave this how it is. I don't love it, but again, I don't hate it either. So again, I send multiple things when I'm doing a sample for someone. I send multiple voices to a client because you know what? Maybe they like it. Maybe you like it. I don't know. Everybody has different taste in things, and we're gonna go ahead and try another voice. I'm going to turn the microphone down a little bit so I can yell a bit.
You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? You want up? Well, why didn't you just say?
Alright, so we had a little bit of fun with that one, just like we did last week. But always remember that being a little wild and kooky sometimes can deliver good results. I don't know what's going to happen here. Let's see. I'm going to just start it at 2 semitone sounds and we'll figure out what I want to do. I feel like just being louder with this will help me with my enunciation, and we'll see how it goes.
You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? You want up? Well, why didn't you just say?
And just for the heck of it, we're going to pitch it down a little bit and see how that goes.
You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? You want up? Well, why didn't you just say?
Alright, so we are now 4 semitones down, and I think that sounds really good for this voice. I feel like it worked out pretty well. I will say, though, I feel like, and this is something, don't ever feel bad about splicing up. I'm going to try it out anyway. Splicing up your takes, because I like the beginning, the you want up, I like that better on this one, but I like the, well, why didn't you just say on the other one, I think a bit better. We're going to see what that sounds like together.
You want up? Well, why didn't you just say?
Yeah, I think that's pretty fun. Let's take a listen to all 3 again.
You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? You want up? Well, why didn't you just say?
Alright, so this one is a little tough for me. I still don't love the second one. I think the voice just isn't the right match. Again, this could be the voice of maybe a different character, but not for Venom, I don't think. But again, I would probably still send it to a client because maybe they disagree. I like this first one a lot. I don't love the take. The more I listen to this take, the more I want to redo it. But whatever, we're speeding through a video here. And I actually surprisingly really like this third one. I think really getting in there and having that big bassy explosion that you're able to have from it being pitched so low creates a really nice, I don't know, it's just good. It's not ASMR, but good sounds on the ears. I like that low grumbly noise. It pleases me. And again, just the other ones I can't pitch that low. It wouldn't sound quite right. But this one where I'm yelling and have an opportunity to really be clear on what I'm saying, I feel like works. I think I like the third one the best. I've rambled a lot there, I think. We're going to listen, because I was just listening to it that first round on tonality. I want to listen to it one more time for clarity, because that is actually the goal for today.
You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? You want up? Well, why didn't you just say? You want up? Well, why didn't you just say?
So there's 3 alternate versions on Venom. I think that I made it a bit more clear and able to be heard properly. Perhaps, and I keep going back to this first line. I like the tonality that I used on it. I think that I could even probably pronounce that a bit better and also just have a bit more consistency to my voice when I say those lines. But other than that, I like the tonality. I think it's a good, I probably wouldn't send it to a client. I would, retake it and really get it going. But I like the direction this one's going. I feel like it could work for Venom. I think I still, at the end of the day, I like this last take personally. But yeah, I think that I accomplished my goal. I think it sounds more clear. If, again, this is where it is important. I know the lines that I'm saying, If anything, well, I smacked my microphone. If anything didn't sound clear to you, I would love to know in the comments. Also, if you have any other suggestions, again, last week we did Conchu. This week we're doing Venom, or did Venom. Venom's done, I guess. Next week we might be doing something else. I have some other ideas of different types of videos. I did get an awesome suggestion on the last video, though, for a character I definitely will be doing an upcoming video. Is it next week? Is it going to be later? I don't know. We'll see. But thank you all so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all next time.